Okay, welcome to another coaching video. Today, under the heading of Let's Change Locations, Beth and I are house sitting, and some friends have gone out of town for 2 weeks. So here we are on the edge of the Duke Forest at a beautiful house in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. So while we're talking today about the 5 things that will ruin your show, 5 things about social media, we'll kind of walk around Duke Forest here and see what we can see. I just noticed there's a big red bird up in one of these trees. Maybe we can catch that while we're walking. But so today we want to talk about the 5 things that will ruin your show about social media. And the first one is that Facebook or social media of some kind, Instagram, if you're doing Pinterest, there go the red robins, if you're doing Pinterest or whatever, then that might be taking a lot more time than your show prep. And that's really an important thing. And while I realize that things like Facebook and social media can be part of your show prep, it is not your show prep. Keep in mind that while almost everyone seemingly is on Facebook, not everyone is, and not everyone is so enthralled with it as media people are, because we're in the media, of course. So that's the number one reason why Facebook or social media can ruin your show, is if you're paying an inordinate amount of attention to that particular aspect of what a good show could be. So there's number one. Number 2 on the big heading of things is social media is that shiny thing in the window. And what I mean by that is it distracting you while you're on the air? And I think a lot of people will agree, most coaches anyway will agree, that a good show is 99% of the time well prepped. And so if you have a plan, that being your prep, and you are consistently distracted by social media, the shiny thing in the window, oh, something happened on social media, I have to throw my plan out because something happened on social media. Ah, there goes the show. So that's number 2. The number 2 reason why social media can ruin a good show is letting it be the shiny thing in the window. And number 3 is that on your show, that your social media is occupying a higher percentage than it is deserving. And this is a very common habit. We're humans. We want to be reinforced while we're on the air. That's what in time past, phones were the things that were the distraction. Those were the immediate reinforcement. I could make the phones ring. I could get requests. I could have calls with people who were my fans and talk to them. Well, social media has kind of replaced that, but we have to recognize it for what it is. It is the super hyper fan, and that's good, and there's places where you can actually exploit that, but also understand that it is what it is. It is part of a show. It is part of what makes you who you are, and it is that interaction that makes you who you are, but it's not the only thing. So the number 3 reason why social media can possibly ruin your show is because it occupies too much of a percentage of the frequency of things that you put on the air. And as you know, if you watched a lot of my videos, or you've read a lot of my blogs, or you've worked with me, I'm a big guy about frequency. How much are you putting in the storefront window? The number 4 reason of why social media can ruin your show, a good show, is if you are reporting instead of making. And what do I mean by that? Well, a lot of things happen on social media. They really do. It's really fascinating. It's an interesting kind of social experiment that we're all going through right now, and lots of social norms being destroyed or rerouted, I guess, not to be negative about it. So what I would say to you is, in this area of reporting versus making, there's one thing about reporting, and when you're reporting, you're actually pushing people to that subject, okay? Radio made a huge mistake in reporting entertainment and becoming just a mouthpiece for television. That's my opinion. Editorials belong to me and me alone. Instead of the making of things. So instead of reporting of what's happening on Facebook, the 4th thing is you should be spending some time making things happen on Facebook, and really look into that. A lot of folks that I'm coaching right now, I'm coaching them into making videos like this one, hopefully much better, to attract people to Facebook, to create unique product for Facebook and not just reporting on Facebook. And finally, the number 5 reason that social media could ruin your good show and your good reputation is if you're not paying attention to your timeline. Curate your timeline. Take those things off of there that are not in line with the goals and the role of your show. And I know that's like, well, it's not freedom of speech and it's not the real stuff. Well, guess what? It never has been. It never has been. That's why we call it a show. If it was real, some of it would be quite boring. Let's just be honest, okay? So those are the 5 things, in my humble opinion, how social media could ruin your show. If you want a detail and some more information on the 5 things social media could do to ruin your show, make sure you check out the written portion of this on my website. Thank you for watching, and look at this. We didn't find a bird, but isn't this just gorgeous? Oh my gosh.